I wanted to talk a little bit more about a specific point I made in my previous audio concerning the mask mandate. And that point was that I couldn't just go down the street and walk up to someone and say, oh, I discovered that there's a new strain of virus, and so I want to test you for it. And depending on my test results, and this test is something I devised myself as well, and you just have to trust that it's accurate. Depending on those test results for this illness, which you have no symptoms of, but you could be asymptomatic. You could have it and just not know it. If my test results right here on the sidewalk come up positive, I'm going to have to actually take you into custody, have you not be able to travel unless you receive a certificate from me, or perhaps I could make something more convenient for you, like a implantable chip. People would have an issue with it, right? And why is that? Why would you have an issue with someone, just a so-called random person or random scientist? Why? Most people would say, well, they're not of true authority, or they're not a member of whatever institution you think is the most legitimate, whatever governing agency you think is the most pristine and reputable and authoritative. So basically, idol worship. You're idolizing a certain group of people. You're considering them to be superior to everyone else. That their viewpoint is more intelligent, more ethical, and everything they say and do is trustworthy and basically angelic. And so therefore they should be listened to and followed and obeyed. So this is from Thomas Jefferson. He wrote this back in 1787 in a letter to David Hartley. He said, quote, "I have no fear that the result of our experiment will be that men may be trusted to govern themselves without a master." End quote. Right? To govern yourself without a master was what Thomas Jefferson was saying is the goal of this, the experiment of this, new society that was going away from tyranny, going away from slavery. And he added other quotes by so-called founding fathers that were speaking against slavery, and that and why they all thought it needed to be abolished. Shows that they had some right views, right? That people should be trusted to govern themselves, right? And that's exactly what's not taking place right now, right? People are not being trusted to govern their own bodies, right? Their bodies are being considered the property of the state and to be ruled and regulated over by whatever governing body, whatever so-called institution of medical expertise or whatever. So, this is just something that really needs to be understood, that rights that we don't have as everyday people, that things we can't do to other people, things we can't do to our neighbors, another group of people doesn't have the power to do those aggressive things just because they say they're experts, just because they're proclaimed as an authority, right? This is the logical fallacy, appeal to authority or argument from authority. People are basically just saying, well, they're the experts. They're the experts. They know what they're doing. They're the authority on this. That doesn't actually provide a sound argument as to why aggression is suddenly okay. If I'm saying it's not right for me to do this aggressive act, but you're saying, well, if you were this authority figure, you could do it, that doesn't make sense. Why? How do I suddenly gain this right to be aggressive just because so I've been labeled an authority, right? And again, it doesn't make any sense. You're assuming that anyone labeled authority somehow is transformed into this angelic being that can do no wrong, can make no mistakes. It's ridiculous. I mean, historically, the complete opposite has been the case, right? People with power tend to get corrupted by that power and become less trustworthy. So it makes no sense whatsoever to have this idolatry going on and to think that aggression is legit if it's coming from a so-called expert or authority figure or ruling class or party. It's just not logical. Again, it's the logical fallacy of appeal to authority. So I hope some of you can digest that and possibly share this with others who you think might find it valuable. And again, if you think it's a good idea to do a mask or social distance or whatever, that's fine. I'm not getting in, this isn't about whether it's effective or not. Again, my main point is that the mandate is wrong. That's the key thing. That's the key thing that keeps getting sidelined. And it's actually the crux of what's most wrong about what's going on with the so-called lockdown is the mandate aspect of it. All right, thank you for your time.